Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the prayer. He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ, and seek help, seek assistance through patience and prayer. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. He says, indeed, it is a hard thing to do, except upon the khashi'een, the humble ones. Many people struggle with their prayers, struggle with feeling spiritual or connected in their salat. And what's beautiful about this verse is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sort of acknowledges this hardship. He says, indeed, it is a hard thing to do. And the scholars of tafsir tell us that the it here is referring to the prayer, not patience. So God is saying, indeed, it is a hard thing to do. However, He makes an exception. He says, except for the humble ones. And He goes on to explain who the humble ones are. He says, الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ وَأَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Those who know that they are going to meet their Lord and that to Him is their return. So then that makes us all khashi'un, no? We all believe in the hereafter, we all believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that we're gonna return to Him. And yet we don't feel this connection. If we take a hard look at our lives, we find that although we proclaim that we believe in the hereafter, we don't actually live our lives in accordance to this realization. We don't live our lives in accordance with the realization that God is watching us moment to moment, nor that this world is temporary and that the true life exists in the hereafter, and that death can befall us at any moment, and when it does, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to have some questions for us. If we lived our lives truly with this conviction, our lives would drastically change and we'd become a lot more intentional in how we live and in how we pray. So, if you want to evaluate why your prayer is in the state that it is in, evaluate what your relationship with death is like. Do I really live my life in accordance with the belief and the conviction that one day I'm going to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it can happen at any second and that I will be questioned? This tafakkur, this meditation upon death directly correlates with how present and how humbled we feel in our prayers, which is why during Ramadan, when we're attending these lectures and doing these supplications and these du'as, and we're being reminded that this life is temporary, we find that a switch goes on and we start to taste that khushu', that connection to our prayers during the holy month. So we need to initiate this meditation more in our lives, where we're thinking about death 2 minutes a day, 3 minutes a day, and just reminding ourselves of the fact that this world is temporary and that the true life is the life of the hereafter. Now, there are times where we don't feel khushu', and there are times where we do. Times where we don't feel that humbled, that connected. However, usually what happens in those moments is we say, okay, I don't feel spiritual, I don't feel connected to my prayer, so I might as well rush through it. Might as well just get it over with. What's the point? When we do this, we forgo another very important element, which is etiquette, having adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we're speaking to someone and we're not feeling the conversation, it's a one-on-one conversation, we don't just, hopefully we don't pick up our phones and start scrolling as they're talking to us. No, we preserve the etiquette. We still look at them, we still engage with them, we try our best to be present in the conversation. Now imagine when you're facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the King of the world, who has opened up the path for us to speak with Him all the time and in our prayers. So if we're not feeling spiritually connected, if we're not feeling that khushu' in our hearts, we should still maintain the outward form of the prayer, or the khudu'. Now khudu' is the manifestation of humility that appears on the body. And usually the khudu' is the extension of the khushu' or the humility of our hearts. When you look at the prayer of the Gnostics, the mystics, someone like Sheikh Bahjat, and the way he used to pray and the way he used to do his qunut, you find that his shoulders are curled inwards, his chin is down. There's an obvious humility in the way he is standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now usually this is an extension of the internal humility of the heart. But just because we don't feel the eternal humility of the heart, it doesn't mean that we should forego the etiquette of standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the worlds. Now I'm not saying make your prayer an hour long even if you're not feeling it, no. What I'm saying is, when you're standing, stand, and when you bow, feel your body bowing, and when you're prostrating, feel your body prostrating. Even if you don't feel spiritually connected, that khushu', maintain the outward form of the prayer, the khudu', maintain that adab, that etiquette with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's interesting is always when we do this, tried and tested, when we maintain the outward form of the prayer, we're not rushing through it, it's not a race. Even when we don't spiritually feel the prayer, that khudu', that outward form feeds into your heart and you start to feel that humility yourself within. So may we be people who are humbled before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by remembering death, remembering the temporary nature of this world. And also, even when we don't feel it internally, we still remember to slow down externally. And this slowing down on the outward stage, this adab, this etiquette with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will necessarily feed back into our hearts and actually enrich our humility within.